Hi, I'm Sharp FLA, and welcome back to 15 over 15 in the Void. It's a series where me and my collaborator Genus create 15 films in 15 weeks. This is week 11, and the last couple of weeks have been pretty eventful. Save 15 over 15. But despite being chased down by the physical embodiment of our own shortcomings, I think things are on the up and up. This week's film was exceptionally good for a film that we made in a week. I would show you how we made it, but week 3 girl can't get over how bad her film. Okay, let's do the pre-pro meeting. This is Editing Sharp, by the way. If you're unfamiliar with how things work here, every week we get together and do a pre-pro meeting. In this meeting, we choose a random prompt and start writing our film. This happens immediately after finishing the previous film, by the way, so usually we're pretty cooked. So, in my infinite wisdom, I managed to forget to record this pre-pro meeting. Remember, we did all of this like 2 years ago at this point, so going back and fixing mistakes is kind of a big thing. But it went something like this. It was my turn to direct that week, so I rolled the dice and we ended up getting the prompt slapstick, and we did some ideation on that prompt. I couldn't really tell you what those other ideas were because I don't remember at this point, but we ended up settling on a little kid that lost their ball. We thought it'd be a good jumping off point for a few scenarios that we could use for comedy. Figuring out what those scenarios were, I think, highlighted the reason why I think it's really important to work with another person on these kinds of projects. I don't think I'm all that funny, so hearing somebody actually laugh at the joke I'm trying to make makes it easier for me to know if I'm doing something right. We had a few ideas for bits before going into thumbnailing, something about a ladder not being tall enough, stacking stuff, trampoline or seesaw, catapult, anything that we thought we could use to be silly, goofy, unexpected, or possibly ironic. Okay, I actually did record the rest of it. Here is that part.
Welcome back.
And welcome back to you as well, my comrade. Thumbnail time! I've noticed a problem.
What?
This idea is like 3 minutes long.
You already bored or thumbed it all out?
No, it's just like to establish all of the things and make them play out in a way that doesn't read as too fast. I feel like we're gonna run into time constraints.
You could try the gym thing that he mentioned where like time ourselves telling the story out loud quickly, and if like it's processable of what we said, we can get a sense of how our timing's working out.
Yeah, we could try that. We could try it. A kid loses his ball on a roof. He wonders how he's going to get it back. He builds a stack of boxes to try and grab it, but the boxes fall and then he falls. He tries to use a trampoline to get on top of the roof, but the trampoline breaks and it sends him into the side of the building. He tries to use a catapult to get to the top of the building. He gets there, but the ball falls off and now he's stranded. 27 seconds. I don't think that that's an accurate reflection. Okay, that's day 1. Pre-pro meeting more or less finished. Genus did some character design after that, and I started timing out the thumbnails. It became clear that this was going to be one of our longest films yet, with the original reel timing out to be around 1 minute and 11 seconds. This was really demotivating, but after coming off such a good week last week, we thought we could handle this. This is Editing Sharp heading out, going back to me as I was recording this video. Huh? Oh, I know where this is. This is the week 11 set Schoolyard V2. I know this place. Yeah, the environments here were inspired heavily by the sets from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Rankin film. We tried to use assets that would give a sense of tactile feel to them, emulating the sort of cut foam look that you get on a lot of those Rankin sets. Also using a felty looking texture for the ground and reusing a cardboard asset that we made for the buildings in week 4. One of my favorite tricks that we used was split lighting. Usually for outdoor scenes, you're going to have one primary light source, that being the sun. But this isn't actually an outdoor scene, this is a stop-mo set. So we thought, why don't we imply like there's 2 lights going on? So we have two sunlights aiming in on the set, and that provides these split shadows. Two different shadows, which doesn't look realistic, but adds to the feel of it being a miniature. All of this comes together thanks to the post-processing work done by my friend P-Mall. You might remember helping us out on week 8 for some animation. Environments here compared to week 3. Ooh. Well, I guess we're done here. Fine.
Overall, I really had fun this
Gina!
week, and
Oh. You know, beyond the environments on this project, there were a few other unique aspects worth talking about. This wasn't mentioned earlier during the pre-pro because I didn't have the first part of it, but we were actually supposed to do this using a technique called linear shape keys. This is a method of animating where you effectively model your character every single pose. Check out this video if you want to learn more about it. I'm not going to get too into it here. The only thing that you really need to know about it is that it was too much. We decided against doing shape key based animation. We didn't have a workflow established for it. We knew how to do 3D, but shape keys were just not it. Pipeline is crucial in 3D animation, and we had no idea how we'd go about creating a pipeline for shape keys. We didn't know how we'd manage animation assets, how we'd manage characters, keep things on model. It seemed like it would be too much, and instead of taking the risks, we decided to cut it off early. These kinds of uncomfortable decisions are ones that we have to make all the time as animators. Realistically, you're not going to get everything that you want. Sometimes you have to compromise, and I'd rather do it early on than put myself again in a situation where we have to make compromises very late into the project. Like in... Something else worth talking about is how we ended up doing the animation at all. 3D rigs, but we had multiple different rigs for this project, which is typically unusual. We'll usually just have character rigs, but in this case we had a few different props that needed specific rigs. The first one is the ball. Balls are deceptively difficult to rig. They're a very simple shape, but there are a few constraints that can make them way easier to animate. We didn't do a proper rig for the ball. We kind of just use empties, which are objects without like mesh data inside of them or curves. It's a thing that you use a lot in 3D and visual effects. We have one empty object controlling the translation and scale of the ball, and another controlling the rotation of the ball. This is important because it allows us to do squash and stretch a lot more easily. This is a fundamental principle of animation where if something hits the ground and it's kind of soft, it's probably going to squash. If it's moving quickly, it's probably going to stretch. By separating our rotation, translation, and scale onto different controls, it makes it so as the ball is rotating, the squash can follow the direction that the force is going and not just the direction that the ball is rotated. This sounds kind of complicated, but it's really just two child of constraints. Nothing to it. Another rig I ended up making for this project was the rig for the boxes. We wanted something that would be easy to control and get decent looking wavy bends while making sure that the tip of the boxes would stay in relatively the same position. For this, I used a method of rigging called spline IK, where you take a chain of bones and you effectively attach them to a curve. After they're attached to the curve, you can then make controllers to control the handles of the curve, letting you create all kinds of bendy, flexible shapes. This was my first time using spline IK on a project, and I think it turned out pretty well, even though you can't really see much of it in the shot. Probably the simplest rig out of all the ones that we made was the one for the trampoline. It really just consists of two controllers controlling two different shape keys on the object. One shape key controls the up and down of the center of the trampoline, of its springy platform, and the other controls the braking of the leg. There's also the root controller, which lets us rotate the trampoline so it can kind of compensate for the leg braking, but, you know, every rig has something like that. The more interesting part of the trampoline to me is the material we used for the springy part on top. It's really just a flat plane, but in order to get it to look like a mesh of strings, we took advantage of opacity, displacement, and adaptive subdivision. The final rig is the cannon, but there's really nothing about the cannon that you haven't heard in any of the other rigs. We've come a long way in our rigging journey. There have been plenty of times where, on other projects, the rigs nearly got the best of us, and Let's talk about the animation. I personally didn't animate on this film beyond some random background props, but Genus did a great job with animation here. Despite being one of our longest 15/15 films, it's one of our most economical. The stylistic constraints of working in an old school Rankin stop-mo type look ended up benefiting us in ways that we couldn't have imagined. This isn't to say the animation looked bad, it was just easier to produce. We still had to be thoughtful with our choices. For this project, we went with stepped animation. It just felt more true to the look. We weren't animating every single frame. Think like Spider-Verse, where characters will kind of pop between poses. When done right, it can look amazing, and I think we pulled something off nice in this project. The minimal animation does exactly as much as it needs to serve the joke. I really like Genus's super subtle acting choices. The characters' movements are really minimal, and I think it emphasizes just the state of awe they're in, the absurdity of the whole situation. Even after saying that, my favorite shot in the whole film isn't even a character animation shot, it's a camera and prop animation shot, when the camera zooms in to the breaking leg of the trampoline. Originally, I envisioned the camera moving in as the leg was breaking, both actions happening at the same time. That's just what made sense to me. But when Genus turned in the first version of the shot, I was a bit shocked. Instead of having them happen at the same time, he staggered the animation. The camera zoomed in, and then the leg broke, which is more true to the style. To me, it's the kind of storytelling that happens behind the camera. I can imagine a stop-mo animator getting this shot and not feeling like animating the character and camera at the same time, so just breaking it up so it's easier. Through working on 15/15, we've learned how to make artistic choices that aren't just visually compelling, but good for our deadlines. This is one of those things that can only be learned through repetition. It's the one good thing that you really get from failure. You learn so much after mistake after mistake after, I feel like I try not to let it get at me, but sometimes I can't stop thinking about it. I want to make good films, but I know I can't always make good films. Part of making good films is learning that you can't always make good films and being willing to make bad films. But the bad films, they're still ours, and it's still... I keep thinking about how we could do it over and over again. I should be proud of the films that we've made. I should be proud that, even through failure, we got back up again and we made new films. I should be proud of the fact that we've learned from those failures and we've made better films. We made Week 11. This is one of my favorites, but you can't discredit me. You can't put me down for thinking about what if we could go back? What if we could go back and we could do it again? What if we could just keep making it again with all the knowledge that we have, with everything that we've learned, with all the techniques and processes and production, and I am proud, but I can't stop thinking about how much I hate Week 3. Hey, thank you so much for watching this episode of 15/15. Sorry about the delay and everything. A lot of life got in the way of this video getting made, but I'm really happy to see it done, and I'm happy to see that you're watching. If you want to support the channel, please subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video. Hopefully it won't take as long to get done. Thanks for watching, and bye!